Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's me, your friendly neighborhood wombat, here doing a stream where I am watching a game. So this is a first. I don't know if this content will be any good or not, so we're just going to do it. Hector of Troy is playing Jim, and I'm just here to watch and learn and comment and probably be super judgy. I'm hoping that maybe if I do a couple of these, we can use this as like like a watch and learn. Ooh, watch and learn is a good name for this series, maybe. Welcome to Watch and Learn with your friendly neighborhood wombat. We are going to watch a game of Rebellion and see how this goes. We'll probably be overly judgy, so I apologize for my uh, members who are playing here. Here's Jim is playing Rebels, and Hector of Troy is um, playing Imperials. So first fun decisions here. Jim has the choice between taking Saw and not taking Saw. He did pull C-3PO, which is mandatory, and Empire pulled Mahdi, which means Mahdi's got to choose. Mahdi gets to choose after Jim, so Jim gets to decide if he wants Saw, and then the Empire gets to decide if they want Mahdi. So Jim defers from Saw and instead draws R2-D2, my personal favorite droid and nemesis droid of the Empire, the two. You know, Mahdi is being taken and probably stuck in Corellia because that blocks a sabotage and maybe helps the rule by fear. Another candidate would be to put it in Mustafar to block a sabotage there, but then that fleet will be stuck. Hector did pick 4 deploys with the Death Star and Coruscant, pretty normal. Jim is playing the rote deck after watching an insane game that I posted the other day. If you haven't watched that one, please watch. I build 5 Moncals and deploy them by turn 4. How, you might wonder? Well, you're going to find out. So that's just what it is. If anybody joins and watches this nonsense, feel free to chat in the chat because I'm just sitting here watching. There's a much higher chance I'm going to keep up with that. So we'll see. Also, maybe my nervous back and forth movements like that will not be as bad. Yeah, we'll just see how this goes. So I would say these are equally skilled people from what I know about them. They both probably have over 100 games under their belt. So I expect we'll watch a very solid game by both of them. Um, Jim going with a pretty standard deployment. I'm going to try to not peek at the base for a little bit, and we can talk about some nuances. Okay, starting mission. So Jim, take a look at Jim's starting mission. It is this one, regional support. If all populous systems in the region have rebel loyalty, you gain a point. And then Jim also has some, I'm just trying to be fair here. He also has a regional aid card. So if you go over there and pause it, you'll see regional aid is gain 2 loyalty in one area. So he could, in turn 1, potentially play regional aid in Utapau and build loyalty in Celeste and score his objective on turn 1, which would be pretty great. His other card, Assault, is one of the less good rote cards, and I'll zoom in on that over here too and try not to give away any information. So Assault is attempt in a subjugated system and then potentially kill a number of stormtroopers, not tanks, but stormtroopers. So that is a major downgrade from hit and run, which is the replacement card for there. So regional aid, very cool. And Hector of Troy plays Rule by Fear for... Oh, interesting. Okay, so Leia starts out with Alliance and Utapau. I might have just opened with Mothma, I don't know. And I might have considered Rule by Fear with Vader, just because now Riken could sabotage in Corellia, right? See what Jim's got. Crippling Blow and Long War. So he goes with Crippling Blow because he's likely to score regional aid early. He's likely to not need the Long War. Long War is a fun objective if you like. It just helps. You don't need to be as picky about infiltrating if you have Long War. So here's the choice. So Riken can see, so if Vader had ruled by fear, there's zero chance that Riken sabotages there. But instead, he does pull off a sabotage, which now makes that turn with the Emperor less effective than it could have been. All right, Vader goes to Naboo. And here again, with regional aid, had that been played, they'd already have loyalty in Celeste too, which builds something fun. But let's see where he goes. He could go Moncal, get another Moncal on the board there, and a speeder. It's pretty nice. That's a big build for the Rebels on turn one, and not a big build for the Empire. Okay. Empire draws Kessel and Malastare. Also draws Draw Them Out and Intercept Transmission. Reconnaissance and Establish Trade Relations. Holy Mon Calamari Cruisers. Here we go. Jim and K2SO. He almost guaranteed takes K2SO. And then we have Ready for Action and Target the Generators. That's a pretty easy pick for both parties. So Target the Generators is okay in specific circumstances, but Piet is just far more flexible. And Jim has Droid Bingo on the table. And what I mean by Droid Bingo is there is a bingo card that I put in place several years ago that has a bunch of squares you can fill out, and they have different names. And one of the squares are, these are the droids I'm looking for. And the challenge is to eliminate all 3 droids from play, which you have to do with captures. So, in theory, capture Riken, capture Leia, capture 3PO. Will that happen? I highly doubt it, because that's a meme. So there you go. So who do you put K2SO on? By putting it, that Leia is the right choice by default, but she already has R2-D2. If you put it on Leia, she picks up 2 red, which means she could run things like Hit and Run if you're running the base deck, and 3 intel, which means she can run things like Covert Operations. In this case, you kind of put it on Riken to get the 2nd red, I think. Or maybe you put it on Dodonna to get a 3rd blue, but the only 3 blue in the route deck is a Rescue, and Cassian can already run that. So I think putting it on Riken for the 2nd red is a good choice. Okay. To run a secret weapons research here, you definitely run an R&D. If I am Jim, I am thinking maybe about playing Established Trade Relations on the very first opening turn, using that in Corellia. That will prevent him from being able to R&D Corellia. It will put a Moncal on the board, and it will make it difficult for him to fix next turn. So I think I probably do that this turn, and then I also probably recon it. So if I'm the Rebel Alliance, I think I'm playing Mothma's card, Build Alliance, Sabotage, recon with, probably recon with Cassian. So Build Alliance, Mothma's card, Build Alliance with, and then probably Infiltrate. And if I'm the Empire, I mean, for the memes, right? Is there a world where you draw out somebody to Dagobah, move to Dagobah? So you draw out with tag, you move with Vader from Mustafar or Naboo to Dagobah. Then you capture with Piet, and then you make an example with the Emperor. I mean, that's a 4-unit commitment for killing the oh, there's nobody in the pool. Never mind. That was a fun idea that didn't go anywhere. Save that in the bank for later. Also, the problem with the Rebel Rote deck is they can just recruit new leaders with 2 cards, and both the recruit leaders are good recruit cards, so maybe not worth it. All right, so we're doing R&D and secret weapons. I like both of those. Let's see if Mothma opens up with her card on Corellia, like I suspect will probably happen. No, new to PAL again, okay. He values the extra Nebulon. Okay, that's fair enough. Oh, Corvette. Okay, values a Corvette more than removing that. I am opening with an R&D on Corellia. There's no better place to run the R&D on, so you might as well do it before it gets moved. Construct Factory's nice. Interdictor's nice too. Okay. Infiltrate in Naboo, that makes sense. You're not too worried about Tag being on capture. Rebel Assault in defensive positions, so Rebel Assault is the logical choice there. In defensive positions is terrible, especially if you have already gotten rid of Long War. Okay, so we've removed, we pulled another R&D, we got another Construct Factory. So 2 Construct Factories are like basically 2 Star Destroyers, an Interdictor versus 3 Moncals on the queue. We're building up to a big battle game here. Recon. Now, do you think he takes the regional aid, or do you think he takes ETR? He takes ETR. Okay. Vader says enough of this nonsense. We're going to go crush Mothma. You can see he leaves a tank in Naboo because tanks are immune to assault. So that's a good thing to do. Okay, 2 damage from a... This is also a reason why you might want to consider bringing a striker instead of a TIE fighter, just to cancel that card. But wow, not messing around. All right, ATST down 4 health points, took out 3. That's pretty good. And back to the Rebels. Jim has played with leaving a Y-wing on the queue, which is one of my favorite things to do. I'm a big fan of leaving Y-wings on the queue in order to take out assault carriers, especially if you're playing the rope deck. Okay, sabotaging the Mustafarian troops. Rastafarian troops, Mustafarian troops. Three moves left for the Empire. I think one has to be moved the entire force up to Salakami. Salukami. One of these days, one of you guys are going to have to tell me how to pronounce that. Salukami. Salakami. All right, so that's done. Another one is probably, you probably want to move that assault carrier just to get it going. Maybe you want to wait for Leia to build alliance first. That makes sense. Kessel seems kind of good here because that assault carrier is probably going to move somewhere, and then you can deploy the Y-wing on Kessel. I feel like this placement will give us some information about the base. Because you kind of don't want to draw attention to the base, obviously. So like that makes me feel like the base is not in Endor or Hoth. Also, we're apparently just not going for regional aid because you could totally have just scored that with Felucia. And the Emperor to Nalhutta seems good. I'd probably lean towards Toydaria. Oh, that's also good to prevent Kato. Yeah, we're a little bit wonky at the moment. All right, let's see what everybody draws. Geonosis and Utapau, that's garbage. Fear will keep them in line, and long-range probes are great. Rebel Assault, and then behind enemy lines and misdirection. Behind enemy lines is the good card, or the card commonly known as good in the rote deck. Recon is going to put in some work here for sure. Ozzel is a great pick for the Empire. Wedge is a great pick for the Rebels. Wedge has 1 in a million, which is basically the Death Star killer card. Anytime you see Wedge pop up, you know you're going to have to defend the Death Star. So Hector is probably now thinking like, I got to make a move with the Death Star and then park it there, or not. So if I'm him, I'm probably deploying the assault carrier on the Death Star and then moving it to Utapau, or moving it to Ord, and saving the Death Star, parking it permanently in Coruscant. I think it's a little odd that Jim did not go for Felucia. That kind of makes me think that the base is in the Yavin, Dathomir sort of area. Because if he had put loyalty in Felucia, I don't know. Yeah, that's reasonable. Because we know we're going to have to deal with Ryloth. And unfortunately, one Star Destroyer is not sufficient to deal with 2 Mon Cal cruisers. So in one sense, you want to put that carrier up with like in Naboo or Rhodia, where you can bring some extra backup if you're going to go into Geonosis this turn. But in another sense, your weak point is definitely the Death Star right now, with Wedge being on the table. So I think my deployment would be assault carrier on the Death Star with a TIE Striker. I might be tempted to run long-range probe here and run it in Endor. And then if the base was not in Endor, I'd move the Star Destroyer to Hoth, because we're trying to see if we can get the base before the 2 Moncals are deployed. And if the base is in Ryloth, we know we're not getting to it, period. It doesn't seem like it would be in Tatooine, because if it was, I think you build Alliance in Nalhutta instead of Bespin. Again, I don't really think the base is in Endor or Hoth, but this map feels so overstretched at the moment that Wedge on a mission. Sabotage. Yep. Okay, these run behind enemy lines to score crippling blow. Or maybe Star Destroyer assault. The nice thing about Construct Factory here and why you can play it is because you have that extra leader, you know you're going to go last. So your Construct Factory can wait out whatever the rebels are doing. So whatever Wedge sabotages, you're going to construct a factory on. And even if they don't run it, you can still play it on, Mustafar or wherever. I'm a little surprised he's not also running R&D. I think I would play the Interdictor card, but I would play the R&D card. And Construct Factory. That board move feels okay. I think that reasonably could have been anticipated, but maybe no opportunity for a capture there. Yeah, see, if you had put Mahdi on R&D, you could have run that in Mustafar right away, I think. Some might be wondering why no assault carrier there, and it's because the Star Destroyer has intentions of going to Felucia and Yavin, I think. Popular support in Death Star plans. So Death Star plans on top, definitely going Death Star hunting with the Nebulon. Interesting that Mahdi's leaving 3 things behind in Bothui. Yeah, there we go. I think so. The challenge that Jim's got here is you want to do a few things. You want to sabotage shield bunker production, but right now the Empire's building 3 because you want to go for the Death Star. So you also want to limit the ability for So like, here's how you could stop that. You could play behind enemy lines on the Bespin and kill those 3 stormtroopers. That will score what you need there. By putting a sabotage here on the bunker now, you're allowing them to move somewhere. Like you could move to Ord, you could move to Alderaan. You'd probably move to Alderaan and then rule by fear, and then Ord with the assault carrier maybe. I don't know. Depends on where he builds alliance. Also, you kind of have to run your construct factory now, I feel like. Maybe not. It's a little bit of a pickle here on where to go. This is a risky move on the rote deck because of behind enemy lines. So you have to make sure you bring enough stuff. So he's basically going to leave just about everything. Yeah, bring that too. He's going to leave basically everything in Ord and leave, I guess, 1 TIE fighter back in Coruscant. And with the idea of it can't be sabotaged, he can stick 2 shield bunkers on it and he can slowly deal with loyalty. Don't know where he's planning on using Tarkin's loyalty card, though. He could play it in Geonosis, maybe. Take away Ryloth loyalty. It's the other thing you gotta hold for blocking in Cato Nemoidia, potentially, too. Interesting cat and mouse game here. It's a very important turn for getting the Moncals on the board. Hold on, I gotta let the dog out. For those of you who don't know, Labrador, his name is FN2187, but we just call him Finn. Okay, we have a behind enemy lines, and we are doing this on Saleucami. Wow, okay. This does build 1 less shield bunker. potentially, and a scores crippling blow potentially. But this is kind of a risky crippling blow. I mean, you're guaranteed to knock out the ATST with tow cables, but you're not guaranteed to kill a stormtrooper. So I think if I'm Hector, I'm playing the 501st to kill a ground unit, and I would kill the rebel trooper, and then that's going to make it hard for the. I mean, not impossible, but it's going to make it hard for the speeder to work. Wow, that was a tough roll too for Jim. And nope. Okay, 3 more hits. That's going to ensure something dies. The crippling blow. That X-Wing's going to take out that assault carrier too, probably with the ion cannon would be my guess. And not much to be done here. Don't throw your interdictor card away though, because you're going to build one of those. So I'd throw the tractor beam away, I think, or play the Death Star laser. Guarantee you kill the. Because it's not, I mean, it's not guaranteed you roll ahead, right? So you want to make sure you kill the X-Wing. So play a card that's got some value, even if it's not the best use of it. Spartan Tactics would be okay here too, I think. Seems kind of risky to me. I guess he'd be rolling for a heal either way, but, you know. All right, that's okay. Moving on with life. So crippling blow was scored. And Ozzel should not be moving yet, I don't think. I think Ozzel should be waiting for Leia to build Alliance. Because maybe she builds it in Kato and then you subjugate it. Or maybe she builds in Toydaria and then you subjugate it. And there's limited spaces you can play. Fear will keep them in line right now. So I guess you don't do that either. You really, I mean, Construct Factory is the right card, I think. It's tough. Yeah, I think Construct Factory is the right card. You can play that in Mustafar or in Coruscant, depending on if you're worried about an Alderaan base. And then you rule by fear and like Utapau per se. Kato, see now you can't cover that anymore. So yeah, now you run Tarkin's mission in Salakami. Oh, okay. Maybe you're running Tarkin's there too. Yeah, okay. Another Star Destroyer on the map. And then fix Mustafar and get 2 ACs on the map, one from Construct Factory. Nope. Okay. I don't love leaving sabotages up if you can avoid it. But I get the idea. Like you can get Sorry. Got to deal with the barking dogs too. Hold on. All right. It's one objective down. Probe droid initiative drawn. Discredit rebellion is nice to have here with Madi. That'll clear off some sabotages. Chirrut, Boba Fett. Okay. We did get rid of make an example already, right? That is the combination to use make an example on if there ever was a time to make an example. Would be draw them out, capture, make an example. But I'd say only on base deck. Let's see where Jim deploys Moncals. I think 2 Moncals to Ryloth attack the Geonosis fleet and try to kill that Star Destroyer. Double shield bunker seems correct in Ord. That's going to make that a tough cookie to crack. Okay, not going for the Star Destroyer. Yeah. I think you put the Y-Wing in Kato, and you put the Moncals in Geonosis. And then if the assault carrier runs on top of the Y-Wing, you just blow it up. And if it doesn't, then you attack it in the next round. So Star Destroyer first round with Wedge, Y-Wing with whoever's left over afterwards into Celeste. And then I think you kind of have to get on scoring regional aid before it gets too late. That's going to be a really tough. Okay, so Moncal's there make me think the base is not in Ryloth or Tatooine. So if we think it's not in Endor or Hoth because of the Bespin loyalty, and we think it's not in Ryloth or Tatooine because of the deployment, where do we think the base is? I am thinking it feels like Yavin, Dathomir, Dantooine as first likelihood. Alderaan is second likelihood. And Kessel as a third potential. But even if it were Kessel, I feel like you would pull the Moncals into the base. So I'm going to say I'm pretty confident the base is in Dantooine. You know it's not Yavin because of the probe. All right, that's my guess. Dantooine, let's see. It is in Felucia. Now we know why he did not try to get the royalty in Felucia on turn 1. That's interesting that it's in Felucia and you are not bringing out the, you're not putting the Moncals in the base. Very interesting. Yep. Wedge first. Interdictor discredit probes. It's a good one. I would still be running a R&D here because discredit is not automatic. Some people just roll it and okay, it's two dice, but you know, 33% chance of losing a point. But I mean, some people I think would still roll that. Rather than running 2 on interdictors, I think I would run 1 on interdictor and 1 on R&D to replace the card possibly with another interdictor or possibly with something better. But totally fine choices. Okay. Don't know. Don't think I send a leader into that. You just tractor beam here, I think. Maybe that's why you tractor beam, right? Nope, didn't matter. And did matter. So tractor beam the Moncal, that 2 damage on it right now. And then you could follow with Death Star Laser for 3. And then there's a chance that you would take 1 down with you. I mean, it's very unlikely, right? But Swarm Tactics could have other uses, I think. But Hector's valuing damage cards, which I totally get. Let's see what we get here. 1 more. Okay. So maybe those things are going for this Star Destroyer out here? Maybe. Maybe. I mean, yeah, okay, I guess. See what cribs you drew. Okay, Dantooine, Kashyyyk, Bathory, Slukamai. Oh, he has Dagobah. Assault. Interesting. Okay, I get it. Cleared it out. Build alliance there. Oswald can't do anything about it. But I mean, he could play an interdictor there next turn, Bespin, interdictor, and an assault carrier. It's not too bad. So now maybe the Rebs try to sabotage Bespin. It's not immediately obvious to me that the base is in Felicia with this setup. I mean, I think we could realistically eliminate Ryloth and Tat. So for those of you joining, feel free to drop a chat in the chat box. I am checking chat more often here. Still just on a one-screen laptop for the moment. Hope everybody's enjoying their what is mounting out to be a Friday night so far for me. So far so good. Happy to spend it watching a little Rebellion. Maybe I'll get a game in here later. Stolen plans and contingencies seems fine. So if you know, yeah, I mean, maybe you do move that Star Destroyer to Felucia because you're trying to get down to Dathomir. He's probably saying, let me check Toydaria, and then the only place for this Star Destroyer to go that's useful is Felucia. So I think there's a reasonable chance the Emperor stumbles into the base this turn. Heart of the Empire, Rebel Cell. Where are we putting the Rebel Cell at Ryloth? Ugh. Maybe Cato. So he's trying to wait out Mahdi and Tarkin. So he's got to move, I think. But I think he only has one move to do. So he might as well R&D in Mustafar, I think. Force that last sabotage out and then play Mahdi's card. Because this, okay, that's fair. Yeah. His assessment is the base is not in Ryloth or Tatooine. So that seems like a correct assessment. The hard part here is that the Rebel Cell is going to be in Ryloth. And why are you not bringing the AT-AT with you? Because he's got a Y-Wing to deploy at Ryloth, so your chances of getting anything out there are not great. Okay, rapid. So lay on sabotage. Yep. I think your safe bet is R&D. That forces out the sabotage, and then you're going to play Mahdi. Alderaan. Yeah, I mean, this does smell like an Alderaan base, doesn't it? Also puts you in range of subjugating Cato. Okay, build alliance, fine. R&D next. And Mustafar, please. Okay, Chia. Mahdi. And then I think Jim just removes the sabotagers because he doesn't care about the sabotage in Coruscant. And he has ways of dealing with things that are put in Geonosis. Even if he puts the interdictor there, he can still deploy a Moncal and a Corvette and still wipe the interdictor, I think. I mean, the interdictor does have to cancel cards, so maybe not. See if he rolls Rapido. Bespin, Hoth, Ilum, Moncal. Wow. Bespin, Hoth, Ilum, Moncal. Means he knows that the Empire doesn't know about Ilum, knows that the Empire doesn't know about Hoth. Here's the thing about Rebel Cell, and I know Heart of the Empire was not a great choice either, but here's the thing about Rebel Cell. You've got all scoreable objectives unless you're giving up on the Death Star. I don't know. All right, another secret weapons and a carbonite for +1, so you're going to discard something. It'll probably be secret weapons research. So here's how Rebel Cell works. You place a target marker, and each turn, instead of scoring an objective, you may discard it in your hand into Rebel Cell, and then you get an objective. No, Jim drew too many missions. Akbar and Undercover. Yularen. Do you play Yularen and Mustafar just to solve your corner problem? It'll be fascinating to see where everybody deploys here. I think if I'm the rebels, I'm deploying a here. Okay. Yep. Seems fine. Hmm. Could at least deploy a Y-wing to Ryloth. No. All right. In that case, I put the assault carrier in Geonosis, the interdictor in Bespin, Yularen in Mustafar, and if the base were to be there, then you could Ozzy. But when he finds out the base is not there, he could still Ozzle and attack that group with 2 Star Destroyers and an interdictor. Maybe he's just going for the kill shot. The problem with that is the interdictor is not as, oh, it is, because the cancel card is in the, no, where is the cancel card? Where's the Corvette card? Oh, here it is. So normally a Corvette card is like the interdictor killer because you play the interdictor card and they just cancel it, so then nobody gets a card. But otherwise, the rebels have to try to kill that interdictor first. But I played the flip the combat card already too, so I think he probably ozels into Celeste. I think he should have deployed in Bespin, played Yularen there, then Ozled into Celeste, try to trap everything, kill as much stuff as he can. And then, yeah, he did deploy the Y-Wing up north. Okay. Base defenses is a nice draw for K2SO. Ozzel, there it is. Everything was lost. He says, look, if you are in Endor or Hoth, I have enough time to come back and deal with that. Yeah, cancel. Okay. Cancel. And then play another card. Block hits, very good. Yeah, this is going to be a nasty, nasty fight here. Full dice on less than full dice. Although still the attacker. Holy cow. For 2 full Moncal kills. I mean, Wedge's got 1 in a million, so maybe he uses that if you set it up that way. Just going for one of the kills. Seems reasonable. Because next turn. Okay. So he cannot kill the interdictor yet. Now we can. Okay, so interdictor's done. 1 striker, 1 Moncal, 1 Corvette, all down. Okay, very good. I think that's definitely a fair trade for the Empire. Ozzel stays. Wedge retreats to Cato. Having your units centralized this early in the game on spaces like that, not a bad idea. And had he been 1 dice roll short, it could have easily been another round of combat, and that would have been tough on Wedge for sure. Another interdictor coming. He might just play 3 leaders on interdictors this turn. I feel like long range probe could be useful here. So you could check Cato with this assault carrier for 1, Felicia for 2. I mean, you're not doing a lot of checking of base stuff here. So long range probe and a couple of probe draws maybe. Carbon capture. Okay. Let's see if that timing works out. Probably starting with Rican. Nope. Rapid, okay. That's fair. In case that Star Destroyer does move, you want some accountability there. The other thing is it's a build turn, so we got Bespin and Bothely creating shield bunkers this turn. Another interdictor. Ooh. Okay. He is conscious of the Boba Fett Vader situation. So he's not wanting to play anything to start. You can delay a while, but not quite enough. You would have to play Stolen Plans, then Vader, or then Emperor, then Contingency Plan, then Piet. But instead, walking in with Infiltration. I think Sabotage would have been a better bet. Liberation is the better pick between those. So now where does Vader go? Does Vader go to Cato, or do you start, or not Vader, Piet, or do you start with the capture carbon combo on Dodonna? I think you run the capture is what you do. Feel like we might be a little too focused on the modules, but there's a reasonable chance the base is in Cato, so I get it. Stolen Plains, okay. Now you don't have an easy capture anymore. Uprising, that's an interesting proposal. Seven gonna be at 8. You might want Uprising sooner rather than later. major victories possible to score next turn too. Liberation is harder to score in the rote deck because of um, no uprising. All right, Piet says, let me check to see if Cato is the base. He's going to find that it is not the base. So one on the Corvette. So you might kill it. Very good. A2. See if we get a heal from Wedge. Decent chance he rolls a heal too. Yep. Okay. Done. Okay. Now he did prevent Cato from building because it's now subjugated. It's also blockaded, so there's that if he was going for cut supply lines. If he retreats, he has to go to Malastare. Maybe that's why the Emperor moved to Kashyyyk. Okay. Okay. Got to run that before they. Okay. Yeah. Riken seems okay. Kill a droid. Not deal with R2. Get Piet's help. One droid down. RIP K2SO. Where do you sabotage here? Mandalore? I mean, you're not even faking Bespin or Hoth, so, and you know Hoth is in there, so, I don't know, Carbon, oof, 7-on-1. Okay. He is going through a lot of effort, but the Empire doesn't have any counterplay left. We still don't have a path forward to. Oh yeah, we are scoring regional support now with Utapau and Celeste. Did we forget to score that last turn? I don't know. Yep. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Alderaan, Dathomir, Sullust, Malhada. So only options are Dathomir, and that's not functionally better than Utapau at this point, I don't think. Unless you want to move it and then make him think that you're in Hoth because you know Hoth is in there. And then open up with an attack on Mon Calamari to score um, yeah, I guess you score regional here. He also has got to score Rebel Cell, or I mean, either or. Objective. No objective scoring. Okay. Not my job to remind people. Maybe it is my job to remind people. I would want somebody to remind my opponent if that was the case. I think Here's Jim plays on the ultimate mod. Which might have a reminder for how that works. I'm on Discord. That is a big boy deploy here. Holy cannoli. How did all these ships get on the queue? I mean, you know Dathomir and Felucia are possibilities, so you probably deploy in Mandalore, right? So Mandalore, maybe you're worried about tattooing now at this point, so you put a Star Destroyer in Geonosis and have it deal with the cell. We might see a Death Star laser here, folks. That's a thick base to get through. 5 speeders. And a shield generator. And a partridge in a pear tree. Okay, rebels can score 3 objectives this turn, potentially. They can kill a Star Destroyer, score major victory somewhere, like attack Kashyyyk and score major victory, attack Mon Cal and kill a Star Destroyer, and then discard something into Rebel Cell, maybe, if he gets away with that. Yeah. All right, that's not a perfect situation, unfortunately, but we're just a friendly game. I'll let these guys sort that out. Tough when stuff like that happens. That's why the players on the Ultimate mod are a fan of the Ultimate mod because it yeah, okay, good sports. I don't know how I would handle that in a tournament game. It's tough. Tournament game, I think I mean, it's kind of on the players to know what's happening. So Jim, in theory, if this were a tournament game, should have said that's not a legal move. You have to deploy first, and then that would be it. So, um, yeah, Hector was just a little bit excited, which is okay. He is sold on Tatooine, I think. No thoughts of Felicia. Okay, okay. Or that may not actually be true. His assessment here might be if the base is on Tatooine, there's nothing I can do about it. You know, if I don't over deploy there. Now, by building in Rhodia, even if he was in Tatooine, he's opening the possibility of Malastare attacking, killing the assault carrier, and then retreating into Tatooine, like if they reveal the base up there. So it doesn't really solve the problem per se, but I get the thought process on there. I get the thought process on there. This is where long range probe can come into help. Recruit card is garbage late game. Plant explosives is good. Rescue. Okay, so Rebel Soul's not going to score, which is too bad. Maybe the Death Star plan. Yeah, but I guess you have to keep the Death Star plans because if they make a move on Felucia, it's going to be with the Death Star, so you kind of got to go for it, right? So you got to keep Wedge back. And then I guess as the Empire, if they keep Wedge back, you've got to consider like draw them out, maybe. Draw them out, capture. Oof. Spicy. Chirrut's card is tough too. Andy's probably worried about Lando's independent operation. Press delays, construct factory, rule by fear, makes sense because Lando. The play on Megiddo instead of Mandalore in hindsight is smart thinking because of the fact that he could independent operation in Mandalore if Lando had that. Gather intel. Okay. Like draw out capture when there's so many leaders in the base there. A lot of good targets. Lando or Wedge are both good targets there. Okay. Bring everything together. Try to score a major victory. Everybody gets their cards back. Flip the combat. 1 damage to the... Yep. No, no, no. No, 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 no. Oh yeah, flip the combat. That's right. Nice. Okay, Y-Wing's down. Salt Carrier still alive. So you'll probably still get that. Play a no heal card here and then roll a hit. I don't know if that's better than doing a damage. Yeah. Okay. Blocking 2. 1-1. It's a great combo there. Yep, nice. Okay. See if he rolls another heal. Oh man, might be greedy. No, you gotta prioritize killing things. You're trying to score your objective. Okay. Okay. Yeah, he's got to score major victory right now. Okay. All right. I see what's happening. Okay, very good. So he can retreat because he's left a TIE fighter there after scoring major victory. Has to go. Very cool. Okay, nice move, Lando. That should really get the brains ticking. No R&D, so no laser. You have a rule by fear though. Bring the fighter too, probably. Yep. Seems fair. We can serve this purpose. Liberation, nice. Vader's gonna put Rebel Cell out of its misery. I definitely saved the Death Star laser at this point, so maybe just, yeah, I guess. Swarm tactics and call it good. A lot of TIE fighters over there too. Don't know. Probably swarm tactics. I want to accidentally use a Star Destroyer somehow, but that's fine. Probably flip the combat here. Um, It'll still scored 0. Tough, tough. If I'm the Empire, I am probably thinking how I don't want to have the Moncal score raid factory on Moncal, so I'm probably moving it. But God knows at this point. See what we draw here. We're not going to draw Dathomir or Hoth or Ilum, so we're going to draw things that we're already on. Oof. Very good. That frees up the Moncal to be moved again. Blocked. Now that Star Destroyer's in trouble. Oh boy. Imagine a world where the Emperor defends the Star Destroyer in Moncal, retreats from Wedge into Felucia, and then triggers the base. I think you have to send the Emperor here, don't you? Because, like, he's trying to score something there. No? Oh, lordy, lordy. Unless everybody's moving to Mandalore, and then we're having a party. Swarm tactics. I mean, yeah, he might cancel it, but also what else are you going to use it for? I think you got a swarm tactics here. Oh, yeah. I mean, I get imposing presence, but only if you're bringing a leader to try to save it. Otherwise, just deal damage. Because those also, I'd flip the combat if I were Wedge. Because that's got multiple round lasting effect. Okay, 1, 2, 3. No reds. It's gonna block both those. 4. Okay, good. Opposing presence didn't do anything. Blocks 1. Nope. 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 Yeah, there's Star Destroyer. I mean, Ilum seems like a really unlikely base, so Hector's got to be thinking it's in Dathomir right now. Dathomir is 3 spaces away from the starting location of the Death Star. Ilum is only 2, and right next door to the most likely place he was going to go. So I think he could pretty safely go all in on Mandalore. Now, he doesn't have any shield bunkers on the queue, so the Death Star is going to be really hard to defend. But you're up far enough in points where you can afford to take a Death Star loss, especially because you have ready for action for Fiat, and just have a big old fight. You've got an interdictor there already. You're holding on to the interdictor card. You are on defense. Just move everything in there. Deploy 2 assault carriers. Have a Star Destroyer. Big old pile of stuff. Then you can deploy another interdictor as backup in Magito. Yeah, I'm a fan of that. It's never easy. I mean, it's a way different perspective looking at a game this way, right? If he moves there with the Emperor, Chirrut could block the rule by fear, which then would prevent, but it won't prevent the construct factory. Yeah, he says, look, I don't have a laser. I need some ATA to use to do some damage. Yep, get it. Mandalore, and that gives away the base location, I think. No, Toydaria. What? Don't understand anything that's happening right now. So do you construct factory on Toydaria? You might. I mean, or do you construct factory on Bespin and then get a shield bunker to deploy? Oh no, not Ilum. No, maybe Ilum. Oh, the Emperor. He could have Return of the Jedi. Couldn't he? Or no? No, he couldn't. Not there. Oh my god. Disaster. Oh, Hector, 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 Hector. Okay, no big deal. He doesn't, he could liberate Mandalore, is maybe what he's thinking about. I mean, it might have been worth it because, I mean, Jim doesn't know exactly what he's got, but yeah, maybe that's not right. He didn't reveal the base. He goes out with the transport, liberates Mandalore. Okay. Nope, here we go. I think you need to dig for a laser because that's a 5-speeder base is going to be tough to crack. I think you deploy the AT-AT in Mandalore, maybe the interdictor and the assault carrier in Mandalore, or maybe 2 TIE fighters in Mandalore. What you need to do is you need to try to get your stuff in the same spot when you're in situations like this. So you've got a massive base. Your Death Star's probably not going to make it. So I don't know. I think you send your fleet in first and your Death Star trails. But you need to be careful about like the behind enemy lines killing both of your shield bunkers. So you need something there to like save everything. See where he deploys. How close is he to uprising? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Did he score uprising last turn? No, he just drew it this turn. So did we get propaganda? We did not. So uprising and liberation, and it's over. So we can score liberation in Toydaria. Maybe that's what he was thinking with the sabotage there. And then if he scores liberation in Toydaria and blocks propaganda potentially, like with Mothma, that'd be weird to keep Mothma back. And then get a build alliance in. Oh, we could run support of the Moncal and build alliance. And then get to that way. Yep. I think that's the way. One on build alliance, one on support of the Moncal for the loyalty. And then I mean, I think the only way out of it is retrieve the plans, to tell you the truth. Retrieve the plan, put everything on Mandalore. I mean, but how do you survive the Death Star? You don't. That Death Star's not going to survive. And the Star Destroyer's out of position. 2 interdictors won't do it on its own. Well played by Jim. Man, I thought his goose was cooked. But it does not appear to be so. We'll see. Maybe Hector gets out of this. A safe haven, a troop? What are we doing here? Oh, don't do support of Moncal for the Moncal. Yeah, you need like a draw out capture wedge. Retrieve the plans. He's not going to Lando this turn, so you don't need to get Lando. I think if you're watching this on a recorded line, this is probably a good turn to fast forward to, because there will be a lot of thinking because neither player knows what the other person has. But at the same time, it's kind of a foregone conclusion, I think, here. Your path to victory here is not get captured and score Toydaria, right? If you score Toydaria, you're out of range of anything but bounty. So score Toydaria with Chirrut, and then maybe keep Wedge back, or put Wedge on a mission and don't use him, because you don't want him to get drawn out and captured. Yeah, the sneaky play here is draw out Wedge, capture Wedge, retrieve the plans Wedge, and then if you can hold on to Wedge and he can't rescue him because he's playing the root deck and there's not a bunch of extra rescues in there, then next turn you can, you know, use Yularen to block if he tries to rescue, and um, then he might not kill the Death Star, which would be super cool. But he does have Wedge on a mission, so you can't capture him easily. But Drought, maybe still not as good. I mean, he can still do it. Just depends on when he plays whatever he plays. Him getting the base reveal was not a problem, though. You just need to make sure you can kill the Death Star, because even if he puts all his stuff together, 2 AT-ATs and 3, well, maybe 2 AT. No, I don't think with the shield generator. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just here to watch and learn. Yeah. Oh, retrieve the plans. Okay, he is doing that. That's cool. I don't think I would have played that, even though it's totally the right move. They rule by fear, retrieve the plans, R&D, capture, draw out. Yeah, there it is. I like that. I like that combo. Way to go. I mean, the MVP move is capturing Wedge for sure. And then are we R&D? Yeah, we are. Throwaways here. And you just draw them out into a loyal planet where they, or like Ilum, where they can't be behind enemy lines. That is not enough stuff. You need 2 units. Jim, you need 2 units. Oh no. Oh no, Jim. Now you gotta roll a heal. Oh no. No, didn't win a battle. Yeah. I mean, if I'm Hector, I'd probably let him mulligan and bring another guy in. Ah, that's tough. I still don't think it helps. Okay. Yeah, he's hedging for. Um, but now capture is really good. And if you root everything out, you can't capture Mothra anymore. All right. Or you just do damage. Do damage to the shield generator and hope you kill it. That'd be very unlikely, but maybe you save it. I guess you save that for the AT-AT. Especially with rolls like that, Tarkin, good lord. Very dead. Okie dokie, now what? I don't even know how this is going to play out. Very excited to see. Reasonable. Still worry about independent operation. Rapid is good. Not sure why you're not capturing Mothra here. I think you gotta run R&D first and see if you draw a laser. Maybe not. Okay. We're at 9 cards, so we know what 3 of the probes are going to be. I've forgotten what they are, but I feel like one of them might be Nalhutta, so maybe he clears in Nalhutta. Sadly, and Bothly. Okay. I don't know. Nalhutta might have been better. You're trying to score. I'm not really sure. Okay. I mean, you know he could go to Hoth, right? Maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe we just need to. All right, what next? Yeah, now he's gonna try to escape. Do you 1 in a million here? Probably not. Let's see if you draw a laser. Okay, drew 2. Now the big play for retrieve the plans. Gotta go for Mothma, right? Yeah. I thought Leia was on Subvert. Oh no! Well, there it is. That's it. See what he gets. Toydaria, Vespin, Ilum, missed it. This, if he didn't get Nalhutta, he did not get Nalhutta. Oh my god. Maybe that wasn't supposed to be on the top. I don't know. Okay. Uprising. Very good. Then he's just got to score Liberation. Oh man. Had he scored Liberation, it would have been over. He had brought 1 extra guy into Toydaria. He did draw behind enemy lines, so the game is over. Behind enemy lines, we'll bail him out for Liberation. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep, yep. So what Jim's saying is Jim can play behind enemy lines and do it in, say, Bothawui or Ord Mantell or wherever and just guarantee a kill. Brings 5 speeders in the Moncal, or 4 speeders in the Moncal. Behind enemy lines was a great draw, but also Toydaria should have been a liberation win too there. Also, retrieved plans should have gone off with Boba Fett too. So, you know, I think it's probably been an interesting game. Been an interesting game for sure. And because there's no way to score behind enemy lines, there's no real way to prevent a big attack from coming. So interesting end of the game there. I appreciate all you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments if this was interesting or not. I prefer to play myself, obviously, but commentating is kind of fun too. I'd be happy to do this with some guest commentators from time to time. But yeah, let me know if you got any value out of this. I think it's an interesting perspective, and let me know. Let's watch this end, see if Jim gets this done correctly. Yep, find enemy lines. There it is. 2, 3, 4. Yep, GG. All right, I'm going to end the stream. Thanks everybody for watching. Leave some comments. Let me know what you think, and good game.